Hi, and welcome to Smart Beach Investors Weekly Real Estate Update for Florida's Emerald Coast. This is where we take a look at the vital market statistics, looking for trends and anything that will tell us where prices are headed in the short term and even the long term. Then we offer a little bit of analysis that will help you determine whether you should buy, sell, or hold your property. All right? That's what we do. I'm John Moran. I am the CEO and founder of Keller Williams Realty's At the Beach team and Smart Beach Investor. And that's what we're going to do here. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at what's going on with our local market real estate wise, but let's do it from up there, 10,000 feet looking down, because there's a lot going on geopolitically in the world that's going to have a massive impact, I think, on what happens to our real estate market. What's going on? Let's see. I think the Middle East is having all kinds of issues, right? That's a problem. Crazy. What else? Well, Ukraine, Russia, that's still going. Anything else? China, Taiwan, that's out there coming at us like a wave. It feels like anyway. And why does all this even matter for real estate on Florida's Emerald Coast? Well, here's why it matters. Oil. So what about oil, you're asking? Well, here's the so what. Oil is in everything. Take a look at this. Oil is in everything we use and do. Let's take a quick look here. Let's see. Roads, yeah. Gas, okay, we got that. Travel makes sense. But it's also in everything. Every plastic, every rubber, everything. And if oil is in everything and oil's expensive, everything gets expensive. And when everything's expensive, so is real estate on the Emerald Coast, right? Here's another graphic that explains it a little differently. The effect of higher prices of oil, okay? Consumers, you and me. Higher prices and lower living standards. Oh, that sounds fun. Okay. Inflation, rising cost push inflation. Well, if everything costs more, it costs more. Oil importers will see bigger current deficit, which means they're going to have to make up that deficit by charging more. Okay. Firms will seek to develop alternatives to oil. Okay. But that's slow. That's not going to help us now. Consumers may switch to alternatives. What, are you going to ride your bike to the beach? I don't see that happening. Firms may cut back on investment, or renters aren't going to rent as much, or what? Interesting. Economic growth, likely to cause economic growth to slow down. Oh, that sounds like a winner. None of that sounds good for real estate at Florida's Emerald Coast. Why am I even talking about this? Right? Because it has a massive impact. Let's take a look at who the biggest oil producers are. U.S., look at right here. U.S., that's pretty cool. We like that. Saudi Arabia, Middle East. And I don't know if our government's doing real well with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia right now. Okay, they're kind of on the fence. Which way they're going to go, hard to say. Russia, are we in a proxy war with Russia? Yeah, that's not good. Canada, well, you got Canada. Iraq, not feeling real confident about Iraq in the U.S. either. China, I ain't feeling real good either. All right. UAE, the Emirates, all right, I don't know much about them. Iran, we're in a proxy war with Iran. So looking at this chart, this is of the biggest oil producers is not giving me a warm feeling about where the price of oil is going, okay? I wonder, is there anything we could use in the past that will give us some sort of indication what we might be looking toward here coming weeks, months, year? Yeah, there is. Take a look at this. Not all y'all were around in the 70s. I was very young, but we had this. I'm aware of this. Gas shortages. All right. The price of everything went to the moon, including inflation went to the moon. It was crazy high in the 70s. And Paul Volcker became the chairman of the Fed, and he was charged with getting inflation under control, and he went after it hard. He went after it hard. Does this sound familiar? Does this look familiar? In the 70s, there was the Yom Kippur War, Israel against the Middle East. Sound familiar? There's a lot of similarities of what's going on. And so we had high prices, inflation, oil was the thing, the Middle East. And what happened? Take a look at the mortgage rates. Take a look at the mortgage rates. Here's the mortgage rates. 30-year mortgage rates. October 21st, 1971, mortgage rates were 7.58%. Okay? That sounds like what we have now, maybe even a little lower than we have now. But by 1981, end of that decade, they were at 18.39. This is Paul Volcker crushing mortgage rates, crushing federal funds rates, crush to get inflation under control. That's what he did over that 10-year period. He raised them from 7.58 to 18.39. Let's go to right now, okay? 2 years ago, on October 28th, the mortgage rate was 3.14. But Jerome Powell is crushing. He's going to beat this inflation, and they're raising the federal funds rate, bringing mortgage rates up to 8.63 right now. That's a big jump. That's a big jump. What's the future going to hold? Is he going to keep raising rates? Well, clearly 8 is not 18, so there's a precedent in place where interest rates and mortgage rates and all these rates can go up to get this inflation under control. And if we have problems in the Middle East, in Russia, and all these places with oil, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem. So I'm not so sure rates are going to come down anytime soon. And they might move to a hyperinflation, which would cause rates to jump up because Jerome Powell ain't having it. So I found this interesting. I went back and looked at the price of houses when all these rates were going up, when it was just crazy, gas lines, interest rates to the moon, all this stuff. Surely the price of houses went down. No. Look at the housing here. Check this out. House prices, Q4 1971, the median sales price, $25,500 bucks a house. Now, granted, it was a much smaller house, I'm sure, but the mortgage rate back then was 7.58. But then 10 years later, Q4 of 81, the median sales price was up to 70. Seems cheap now, but that's almost 3 times as high as it was when the decade started, 70,400. But the mortgage rate was 18.39. So even with a high mortgage rate, prices went up. That's wild. Now, fast forward to where we are now. A couple years ago, Q4 of 2021, the median sales price for a house in the U.S. was $423,600. $423,600. This is why you hold over time. Different topic. But in 2021, the mortgage rate was 3.14. The median sales price was $423,600. Now, 2 years later, now where we're sitting here, prices are up. Median sales price, $431. But the mortgage rate more than doubled to 7.79. Prices held, they didn't drop. And what's the future? If the rates go up, and I don't really think they're going to, is that going to impact the prices? I don't know. It didn't back in 71 or in the 70s. Will it now? Hard to say. But I think it's a big part of supply and demand is really the elephant in the room is supply and demand. And let's take a look at that real quick. Let's take a look at supply, inventory for sale. I pulled September year over year, last year, this year. Are there more properties for sale? If there are, that means we have an increase in inventory supply, which would generally cause prices to soften and come down. This is a massive indicator. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what happened. Destin houses, year over year, negative. Last year, there's 107 new came on the market in September. This year, there was 93, a drop of 13.1%. That ain't helping. How about condos? Last year, 132 in September. This year, 93. That's a almost 30% drop. That's not helpful. No, that's not helpful from a supply side. How about 38 houses? Last year, 138. This year, 127. All right, negative 8%. There's not more inventory. 38 condos. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got some inventory. Last year there was 35. This year there's 40. I mean, not a ton, but it's up 14.3%. That's a thing. We'll probably start to feel a little bit of softening in 38 condo prices. Maybe. Panama City, what about there? Oh, look at this. 107 in houses last year, now 136. That's a 27% jump. That could have some impact in houses and their prices in Panama City this fall and winter. Condos, yeah, look at that. 155 last year, 188 this year. That's a 21.3% jump. Again, that's probably enough to move the needle. If it stays that way, you may start to look for some prices to drop on Panama City Beach condos, okay? Because supply is starting to increase. And when supply increases, it's going to be harder to hold your price if you're a seller. So what does it all mean? So let's see if we can wrap this whole thing in just some sort of a bow. Take a look at this. What's affecting oil prices? All right. Number one, geopolitical unrest. Oh my. We got that in spades right now, right? The Middle East, a mess. Russia and Ukraine, China. Oh my word, the whole thing's a mess, okay? Oil supply. We got the U.S. government restricting the refining of oil. That's taking the supply out, plus all the Middle East stuff. That's a problem, all right? 2 for 2 so far. Global economy. How confident are you with this global economy and all the craziness going there? This guy's not. Or demand. I don't know. I still see demand. I don't see electric vehicles being the answer anytime soon. I don't see moving walkways and people riding bikes to work in the U.S. very soon. So all that stuff, it means oil's going to be a problem. Okay, that means inflation's going to be a problem. That means that Jerome Powell's going to keep pounding on interest rates. Is that going to impact prices? Well, they haven't yet. Will they? Maybe. But in the long run, it's going to go up in price. It's just in this short run, it's just going to be a mess. It's a mess. So what do you do? What do you do? Same as we've always said. If you're a short-time player, 5 years or less, run. Get out of this thing. There's going to be so much turmoil in the coming months and years. It's hard to say if prices are going to go up or down. You're probably right both ways. But timing is going to be a problem in the next 5 years. Run. If you're a short-time player. If you're a long-time player, cool. Ride it out. We know over time that prices go up. Just ride it out. You'll be fine. Okay? If you're a buyer and you want to flip, good luck. Good luck. That's going to be very hard in this kind of environment. If you're a buyer and you're going to hold it long term, go ahead and buy. Go ahead and buy. Because if rates go up, and it looks like they might, right? If the rates go up, this 8% today is going to seem cheap tomorrow. And if somehow they come down, you can always refi out, okay? But I don't know if you're going to see a big drop in prices. We're thinking there might be a rate increase. So if you find a chance to buy, I think you should buy. Send us an email, info@smartbeachinvestor.com. This is what we do, folks. We build wealth. We help you collect properties, get renters to pay down your costs, and then let appreciation and inflation drive it up to create that spread that creates great wealth, okay? That's what we do. Send us an email, info@smartbeachinvestor, if you want to talk about your property and your plan, what you're going to want to do, either buying or selling or holding. Okay, that's what's going on in real estate here at the beach this week. Stay tuned. Come back next week. It's going to be something new for sure. Have a great week, everyone.